Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney is in more trouble than it's ever been before. This is not about the woke agenda. This is not about them producing movies that people don't want to see. This is not about accounting scandals. This is not about lawsuits. Disney has a new disaster as a major cable customer, Charter Communications, refuses to pay for Disney's channels. They will not pay for the channels under the normal circumstances. And the reason why is that only 25% of their users actually mess with any of Disney's channels or take any interest in the channels. This is ESPN, FX, Disney Channel, and so on. Channels that Disney has sold really for a long time, years and years, generating millions and billions of dollars of revenue, now under serious threat. And this is just with Charter Communications. They have deals with other cable companies. Those deals aren't going to come apart, but when they're up for renewal, Disney is in serious trouble. And now they're in serious trouble with Charter Communications. They really can't afford for this deal to fall apart, and it looks like it's falling apart. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I'm almost at 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Most of the media is covering the story this way. Disney pulls ABC, ESPN, FX, and other channels from Charter Spectrum service. Why are they pulling them? Because they're renegotiating the rates and they're renegotiating the deal. But that's not really what the story is. The story is much bigger. From Deadline, Charter executives say Disney rejected their proposed, quote, new model, new way of working together, new business model, distribution deal for Spectrum. Moving on from the traditional video business, now a distinct possibility. Spectrum is a company that does do a lot of business with cable with their consumers, but it's not just about cable, and they're much more sensitive now to where they used to be a couple of years ago, where they're saying, hey, we have a couple of different ways we get revenue from our customers. Yes, customers are interested in ESPN. Yes, customers are interested in Disney's cable channels. However, plenty of customers are cutting the cords because the price of the channels they're using are expensive. And then even the channels they're not using, and 75% of their customers do not use Disney's channels. You just can't do business the same way they used to do it. Because as far as Charter is concerned, Spectrum, they don't want to lose all the other relationships they have with the customer for internet access, other video products, other things they do with the customer or sell to the customer. They don't want to lose the customer relationship because the bill is too high. And they've lost many customers because the bill has been too high for years. Coming from Deadline, addressing Thursday night's carriage impasse with Disney, Charter Communications executives told Wall Street investors on a conference call today that their linear video business is at the edge of a precipice. Charter CEO Chris Winfrey said any resolution to the outage, which has left almost 15 million customers in the dark at the start of football season, would need to happen quickly. Otherwise, he said, Charter will take pains to preserve broadband relationships with customers who drop the video service. That would reduce the likelihood that we're going to be willing to foist those high costs on consumers, he said, and so our likelihood of being willing to do a deal decreases over time as those downgrades to video occur. And our likelihood of heading into a moving on scenario with a completely different video product structure goes up significantly. Quote, we're at the edge of a precipice that Disney itself predicted, CFO Jessica Fisher perhaps alluding to comments from Disney CEO Bob Iger last September before he returned to the company's executive suite. Iger earlier this summer said in a CNBC interview that linear networks may not be core to the company, setting off speculation of private equity or other investors taking control of them and removing their troubled financials from Disney's books. This is such a major business development for Disney, it can't be overstated. How much revenue does this really represent to Disney? Is cable like a big part of their business? Well, check this out. Disney's revenue for 2022 has $28.35 billion of it tied up in their linear networks. They absolutely need this revenue. It is not a joke. This is not like, well, you know what? They lost $1 billion in their movies. They need to be a little bit less woke with the movies. maybe they could turn that around. It's obviously going to take them a year or two to get the content going in the right direction when it comes to films. This is not that. This is their cable revenues. They need these cable revenues to keep the business going and cash flow positive to make sure that they can show banks, hey, look, we've got billions coming in on a regular basis. That really comes from the cable companies. It's a substantial part of their revenue. They cannot afford to lose that revenue. Charter CEO Winfrey, who succeeded cable industry stalwart Tom Rutledge as CEO last December, said it's the largest swath of programming to go dark on Spectrum since he joined Charter as CFO in 2010. In all, 18 networks as well as 8 ABC stations are now unavailable on Spectrum, which is the number 2 cable operator in the US with 14.7 million customers. So this is their number 2 cable operator, really their number 2 customer in linear networks, who is refusing to do a deal with Disney right now. The outage is coinciding with the start of college football and soon the NFL season, 2 of the few bright spots in an otherwise bleak pay TV landscape. Charter estimated that it pays $2.2 billion a year to Disney to license its programming. It is not yet determined how it will offer credits to customers affected by the dispute. Starting the call with a lengthy presentation supported by a slide deck titled "The Future of Multi-Channel Video Moving Forward or Moving On," Charter described a staggering 25% drop in subscriber losses for the industry over the past 5 years. The accelerating downturn has left all stakeholders in the pay TV bundle at a crossroads, the company said. Given the swiftness of that shift, Charter President of Product and Technology Rich DiGeronimo said the company had proposed a hybrid model to Disney, one that would combine streaming and linear services. Execs declined to address any financial specifics, but they identified 3 key elements to their proposal: lower penetration minimums, designed to give customers package flexibility, the inclusion of Disney's ad-supported direct-to-consumer apps and Spectrum linear packages, and a commitment by Charter to market Disney streaming services to its broadband-only customers. This seems like a very reasonable situation. The problem for Disney is they've been pretending that this day was never going to come. The day was never going to happen that people would say, you know what, 75% of our customers actually don't even interact with your channels, but sure, we'll just keep paying you these escalating rates to help you generate tons of revenue and profit. It's not happening anymore. The day has come. Charter is the first big cable company to hit Disney with this. I have no idea how Disney's going to deal with this because they just don't seem to be prepared. They have problems in their streaming. They have problems in their movies. They have problems with their theme parks. All of the Disney businesses seem to have problems right now. And now the cable business, which was in the future expected to have a problem, has a problem literally right now today. And it doesn't look like it's easy to solve. If I were the Disney people, I would be interested in negotiating something with Charter on a temporary basis as a test program to see, hey, is this going to work for us with our cable company relationships? It'll help us distribute Disney Plus because they're looking to help them distribute Disney Plus. There's plenty of streaming services that get help in distribution from cable companies. There's nothing wrong with that proposal. It sounds like it would help Disney, but Disney just isn't prepared for it. Separate from the Charter talks, Disney's been taking steps toward offering a standalone streaming version of ESPN outside of the pay TV bundle. It has recently held talks with potential third-party investors and distribution partners, in part because of the onerous cost of sports rights. Instead of embracing the transformative partnership we offered, DiGeronimo said, Disney reverted to the tire playbook, trying to squeeze every last dollar out of the linear customer with no regard to the going concern of their video cash flow engine. DiGeronimo said another point of irritation has been what he described as Disney increasingly blurring the line between what it offers on linear networks and what goes on streaming services, Hulu and Disney Plus. Quote, it's a lot of overlap, he said. They've also siphoned content away from linear TV channels into those direct-to-consumer apps, which are very similar by nature. So Disney is stealing content away from the cable channels that's essentially paying all of Disney's bills right now, and the cable companies are like, no, we've had it. Stop taking advantage of us and stop publicly saying you're going to launch an ESPN service direct-to-consumer. Why? Because you're charging us billions of dollars to carry your channels, and at the same time, consumers are seeing this saying, wait a minute, why am I paying all this money for cable to get ESPN when I can just get it direct from Disney? Which they kind of can't, but that's the perception that's out there right now. And the cable channels are like, look, you just can't take advantage of us like this anymore. Asked if the company's stance on Disney is a preview of how Charter plans to deal with other carriage renewal discussions with the likes of Fox, Paramount, NBC Universal, and others in the coming quarters, Winfrey quickly replied, simply put, yes. The exec cited Disney's recent comments about its impending jump to streaming with a full ESPN offering, saying that rhetoric impeded a path to a deal, especially given the expense of the programming. Quote, the idea that somebody has publicly said repeatedly that it's going to go direct to consumer and you're signing up for that kind of long-term deal, that's untenable, Winfrey said. He's not going to sign a long-term deal with Disney for ESPN and other Disney channels when Disney is out there saying, hey, you're going to be able to get this directly from us, so don't worry about getting it from your cable service. Why, as a cable service, would you sign a long-term deal paying Disney billions of dollars a year when they're saying publicly today, right now, they're going to compete with you? And by the way, they're going to sign up either with Amazon or Apple probably to compete with you, a very powerful partner, and you're going to be stuck paying them billions of dollars, subsidizing them competing with you. It's a serious problem, and it shows you that Bob Iger really has lost a step. He's not managing these relationships. This dispute between Disney and Charter should not be public. This is something we should not be hearing about. This should be going on behind the scenes, and probably has been going on behind the scenes for at least the last year or two. These kind of things don't just come out in the public out of nowhere. It's out in the public because the deal is almost irreconcilable. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.